Okay, so when somebody comes to take the New World Practitioner course, like I said, the Whole Life Coach is 9 days, 1 day off in the middle, and then after the Whole Life Coach finishes, there's a day off, just to everybody get their breather.
Yeah.
Then they come back for the Wolf Non-Surgical, which is 12 days, and then there's a day in the middle, okay, to take a break, because in the Wolf Non-Surgical course, you're getting 30 hours of non-surgical done on your body. That means all the scar tissue in your joints, organs, have all been worked on. And you're also doing 30 hours on the rest of the people that are in the room.
Training to do it yourself, yeah.
When you see the miracles that are going to happen, I say miracles, but they're not miracles. We do them every day, okay? People don't like to believe that we can actually do what we say. But the reality is, whether you're talking shiatsu, reflexology, massage, chiropractic, acupuncture, there's nothing that comes near this. We transform scar tissue back into beautiful connective tissue, whether it's in the organ, the muscle, the tendon, the ligaments. We know how to get the calcium back into the bones. We know how to restore perfect circulation. That's what it's all about. You need to understand that. I mean no offense to anyone, but you know, trying to adjust a spine is great to keep it straight, or to push the hip back into place, but it'll just pop back up. People don't get this, that it's inflammation from an inflammatory diet, an inflammatory mind that creates inflammation. The inflammation is actually the dumping of histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol. Most people are dripping adrenaline in their body on a continual basis. They're so fearful. The reality is that is very acidic, so that dehydrates your ligaments, your tendons, and all your organs. And what you get is you get shrinkage. Now, how many people here are over the age of 50? You've lost 1 inch to 2 inches of your height. Now, you can have all that back with an hour and a half of Wolf Non-Surgical and Cellsonic. If we went and Cellsonic your spine, and we did anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 pulses, and then I went in with non-surgical in between your vertebrae, because it's the cartilage in between the vertebrae that they call the discs that dehydrate, and that's why you shrunk. And if you go to a doctor, he's going to say, well, you've lost bone calcium, that's why you're losing your height. I mean, seriously, you can say anything to anyone, and they're gonna blop it out like vomit. I mean, does he actually think, what does somebody's head actually shrink or something? Did our head shrink? No. Dehydration happened to the discs. Once you go in there with using non-surgical, you open the fibers back up and you bring in the energy flow, you bring in the circulation, you got your height back. And that happens anywhere. Just like you can get rid of a fibroid, call it a tumor, call it a fibroid, but it's all about restoring the energy back in and pulling the fibers apart and releasing the calcium that was put into the tumor or into the scar tissue to make sure it doesn't mutate. And then I just want to say this, and people aren't going to like this, but cancer does not mutate from one part to another body, okay? We're all born, when we're born, we all have cancer cells flowing in our body 24 hours a day. So I call BS, and I'd like anyone to try to challenge me. They can't give me any proof. The reality is if somebody has, let's say, cancer in some part of their body, we know that the pH is off. We know the oxygen levels are off. We know that in that area, the cells are being suffocated. Are you with me? Now, do you think it's not happening anywhere else? It's a domino thing. Inflammation is the only true disease. Did you know that? And then, of course, you've got mucus formation in the body where you're blowing your nose. You've got mucus coming out of your vagina, your rectum. You know, you're trying to cough it up. But that's all from inflammation. We're an inflammation nation. Inflame. There's a clue there. The heat is on. And if I were to put a burger on the barbecue and I turn the barbecue on, the burger would shrink, wouldn't it? And be dehydrated the longer I leave it there, and it'd become even like beef jerky, wouldn't it? The moisture leaves it. The energy leaves it. That's right. So the same thing, inflammation, depending on your emotional dysfunction. And what you eat and drink and think will depend on where in the body you have inflammation, and then you get dehydration, and then if you don't watch it, you get mutation. So instead of mutation, it's pulling the calcium in, and now your tissues are becoming like beef jerky, and that's what we call old age. Like Grandpa walking like this, he's all stiff as a board. We could reverse Grandpa. And Grandpa doesn't feel any pain anymore because the scar tissue and the calcium has actually encased the nerves. And that's why he's not in pain. And he looks like he's in pain. So what do you think neuropathy is? Neuropathy is where you get so much scar tissue and crystallization and calcification. And guess what? That's that deep nerve pain that you have in your lower legs. And that's what older people get. And that's because I call that stump syndrome. Like it's like a tree stump. Because those tissues are becoming fibrous and it has calcification in it. And the calcification is actually calcium, and it's like coral. And so when you move around and you're walking, it's jabbing your nervous system. It's creating all that pain all the time. But all of that is removable and reversible. But you're not going to get that. And I don't mean to be like this, but 99% of all natural health practitioners don't even know about this. They don't even know how to do this. They don't even know this exists. They don't even know that's the holy grail of healing. So what they're doing is they're doing some kind of therapy that turns down the burner but doesn't turn it off. And as far as the medical system goes, that's not their game. Their game is rushing to the rescue and cutting something out or numbing your body out. You do know that every drug cuts off the signal of the pain to your brain, but you're still on fire. That's why when you do the drugs, you will go to surgery, because the area that you're trying to cut the pain off and the inflammation will have inflammation, and it gets to dehydration, and then you get scar tissue formation and calcification, and now they say you've got a block, and now we got to cut it out and give you a new hip, a new knee. We got to give you mesh. We got to give you a stent. We got to give you a rod for your spine. I could keep going. And all of that is not true. I already told you. 99% of all surgeries are reversible. 99% are reversible. And they don't want anybody to know this. Okay? All right? We were created by God Almighty, and we should act like it. That's all I'm going to say. So anyways, so now I'm going to work on him, but I already said that, okay, so can you tell everybody your problem?
My problem is I have...
Can you speak up?
I have a burning sensation in his leg.
He has a burning sensation down his leg. Now understand something, everyone. Okay, so here's the deal. I guarantee you, right here in the cecum area, he's blocked up with fecal waste. Now, if that's true, and you can see the tone, he's just sucked his gut in, but it was sticking out further. Okay? That's what every guy does. You go near it, and he goes, okay, tell me how long you're going to be there. Okay, so, anyways, see, it went back in. Watch it. It's like a little, one of those little snail things.
Yep, it's out.
There it goes. Okay, so see, so understand something. So if he was totally relaxed, he's got this pouch. So the more he lacks tone here, because the large intestine is supposed to be a healthy snake, right? Because it has hostras and it moves the poop along. But the less tone you have, the less muscle you have, so it just sits in there and you rot. Most people are just rotting out now. Okay, so here he's got a block in here. Did you ever have an appendix operation?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so here we've got a block. Why is it that it's this leg? A lot of times it'll be the left leg because the sigmoid is nearing the end of the large intestine and the fecal waste gets dry. And then it flips on itself where it gets colitis here and it gets inflamed. So the reality is we poop in our pelvis. Now, I'm going to go in here, and right here in your low back, you've got SI joints. Now his SI joints, okay, this is how it should be. Does anybody notice? Okay, we see. Almost everybody in here waddles. Did you notice that? Remember when you were younger, it looked like your bum was chewing bubble gum? It's like, whoa, look at the wiggle on that one. Now, as you get older, you don't wiggle, you waddle. Okay? They both start with a W, but one isn't as nice. One is not as sexy. The waddle is not as good as the wiggle. Okay? And that's because your SI joints, your sacroiliac joints, right? Which, remember right down in here, they used to be a dimple. They look like dimples in your back. Okay? Now they're gone because those dimples fill up with scar tissue and calcification. Why do they? Well, does anybody know what's right here? Your large intestine. And guess what most people do is they poop in their pelvis. And the reality is when you lack tone here, because your core is supposed to pick your baby up, your groceries up. It's supposed to do all your work, not your back. Okay, your back's not supposed to do that. Your back was to house your spine so your spinal fluid can move freely, because your pelvis picks up all this information. It gets sent into the spinal fluid. Did you know that? And the spinal fluid moves like this up to your brain, sends the information to your brain, comes back down with the hormones and chemicals in your body to keep everything balanced. That's right, it's just like this. And your spinal fluid has more light and more information and communication in it than any other fluid in the body. And that goes up, tells your brain what, because your brain is only a computer, so depending on the program, so depending on how well you work, okay? And it's a chemist, so it gets information and then dumps certain chemicals to keep you running properly. You didn't know that, did you? That's all it's good for. The brain is not smart, only if you have smart beliefs. The brain is pretty stupid if you have stupid beliefs. You're pretty sick if your brain runs sick beliefs, right? Are you with me? Okay. So anyways, so now what happens is that your pelvis here, okay, is, if you don't have tone here, you're toast. And that's everybody almost in this room. Okay? So now, the looser this gets, the tighter this has to get. Because the back has to compensate for the lack of tone in here. Well, look at, they've done such a great job, haven't they? The food corporations, the psychos, and even the people who call themselves in the health industry. They're not in the health industry at all. You can walk into your doctor and you can look like you've ate a beach ball and he won't say a word. He won't say a word. Meanwhile, that beach ball, people that look like they have a beach ball, that's the only real virus that I see that's an epidemic is called gas ass. Okay? And that means, you know what gas ass is? Okay. Fecal material rotting, creating endobacterium that give off gas, and that's why you blow up. And that's why people have actually combusted and went on fire. You do know that, right? Look it up. People can actually combust and go on fire. Now, here's the deal. So, if you take a look, it's not too bad, but last night it was sticking out more, okay? Now, the reality is, your chest should be sticking out always farther than your abdomen. That's the rule. That's the rule. And you're not supposed to have a roll hanging down over you. That roll that hangs down over your belt, that's your transverse colon has fallen down and out. You're on your way out, baby. Because that was the holy grail of your immune system. So yesterday, he came up, remember? And he told me about his good diet he has, which is just awful. It's an awful diet. Now, he's the kind of guy, and I'm not picking on him, he would never change his diet unless the person who was cooking forced him to. He'll eat anything that comes in front of him. And now, why am I saying this? Am I putting him down? No, I can tell how much love a person has for themselves. And the hardest thing you're ever going to do is try to get yourself to fall in love with yourself. It's very difficult when you've been told you're unworthy all your life. Okay, we'll leave that alone now. So if he's not going to eat right, then we know that this is only going to get weaker because he's getting older. You know, you're supposed to get smarter as you get older. You're supposed to eat more live foods, okay, with enzymes and minerals and fiber and nutrients and life in them, not more dead food. Okay, what do older people do? Give me tea and toast. Whoa, you're toast, baby. Okay, you're toast now. Okay, and we all crave the flour, the sugar, the dairy. So we're on our way out. When you were younger, you could abuse yourself and you were allowed to bounce back. Well, you should be, because you're being ruled and screwed over by your parents. So it can't be your fault. But as you get older, you better wake up to the fact, but we don't. We just keep on doing the same thing and getting the same results, and we don't understand why. Oh, God, please. God, please help me, God. Are we done that yet? Are we over it yet? Just mind your own business, take action. And that's why I really don't, and I got to tell you this, I don't really care to work on people that come and go, I'm coming to you, Dr. Wolf, but it's in God's hands. I just go, oh my God, please. You know, it's teamwork that makes the dream work. You You know, I understand the whole God thing, but the reality is that really it's in God's hands. Well, good luck. We're not going to win on this one. I need you to take massive personal action. Do you understand? All right. And I told you earlier, he only lost his hearing because he's so acidic, because his inner ear is crystallizing and building up scar tissue, and that's why he needs hearing aids. And this can all be reversed. He could get his hearing back, but is he willing to actually put the calcium back into the bones that's been displaced in the ear here and get rid of the scar tissue in the ear? Is he willing to do clapping? Is he willing to get non-surgical? Is he willing to put iodine in his ear? Is he willing to put ear clear in his ear? Is he willing to clean things up? Anything that you can create, you can uncreate. If you became sick unconsciously, what could you do if you were conscious? Seriously. Are you hearing me yet? Stop. Just stop and love yourself. Now, so what's happened is, pooping in the pelvis. Okay, so now the SI joints are directly behind, right here. Now watch if I come in the front. Cecum, right here, cecum, and sigmoid. Now this is where everybody has their problems. The beginning of the large intestine and just at the end of it. Okay, now if I go right through here, I've got the SI joints. And that's why most people are frozen in their SI joints. They've got scar tissue and crystallization wrap. If you go to a chiropractor, he goes, and you hear the click, and you're back in, and guess what? It pops right back out. You got to get rid of the scar tissue and the crystallization wrapped around the SI joints, and guess what? It stays in place. Doesn't happen anymore. And if we could get him to buy in to do daily cleansing tea and black gold, because I know he's not going to change his diet. He'll only change his diet if somebody makes good food for him, then he'll eat it. Right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And when I say things, it's because if you come from your heart as a practitioner, you get to know the personality of the person. And that allows you to work together. I'm not downing him. Just because a person has a certain personality, we're never going to judge them. It was his upbringing. That was that parent and that school, that religion all came together and they created this personality. Why should he be punished for it? Not at all. You don't punish anybody because of their personality. And we do all the time. So the reality is, so now what we got to do is all I got to do is go into the SI joints, and I'm going to do the one. Okay, so we'll just do this side, and what I'll do is I'll do Cellsonic, and I'm going to do 200 pulses. That's it, just 200 pulses around the SI joint, and then it's going to just crumple. I'll let a couple of you come and feel it. You're going to see that it's all frozen. Once we go in there, we'll loosen up we always do both sides, but we're just showing it. So I'm going to do his right SI joint, and then I'm going to clean out from the SI joint to the spine. There's an inch gap, and then we've got the SI joint. See? Spine, gap. Now, can anybody tell me what is the most surgery ever done on the spine? L3, L4, L5. L3 and L4, L5 actually fall right where the transverse colon falls down with people when they have no tone, and you've got your cecum, and you've got your sigmoid, and guess what? They're pooping in their pelvis, and that's why they had to have surgery on L3, L4, L5, because the connective tissue all became scar tissue, and the discs that are in between the vertebrae, okay, all right? There's no such thing as a slip disc, by the way. Is it in your underwear? Okay, they just made that up. Okay, all right. So those discs, they get dehydrated, and they don't thin out. You haven't lost any fiber. You've lost the moisture. You've lost the life force, okay? So when that happens, okay, then you get calcified and scar tissue here, and then guess what? It's like sandpaper crunching on itself. So after a while, you totally decalcify the bones, and the bones become like Swiss cheese. Do you understand? Because you had to pull the calcium out to try to buffer down the inflammation that was caused from the infection of the pooping in the pelvis and the lack of tone in the core. Are you with me yet? There are no low back problems, okay? It's like the guy who says, oh my God, I got an inguinal hernia because I moved the couch for my wife. No, you didn't. You drank too much beer, you ate too much crap, you rotted out in here, and your large or small intestine is popping out through your stomach now because the peritoneum that was holding it in rotted out. That's where you get hernias from. Your hernias, inguinal hernias, all the way in this area are all from you actually, your tissue rotted out. You rotted out your tissue. Okay, a hiatal hernia is from constipation, trying to push your diaphragm down. I gotta go! Because you didn't drink enough water, you didn't eat enough whole plant-based foods, but water's the key. Drink warm to hot water, structure, get yourself a structure unit, and then if you're a woman, do 3 quarts, if you're a man, do 4 quarts, and guess what? That's the key. We are walking bags of water, guys, okay? So anyways, you keep on trying to push that poop out, right? Honey, are you coming? I'll be there in a minute. Okay, so guess what? Where do hemorrhoids come from? Trying to blow it out, right? And then the stagnation of the waist thins out the lining. That's where hemorrhoids come from. That's where polyps come from. That's where fistulas come from. That's where fissures come from. That's where colitis comes from. That's where diverticulosis comes from. That's where Crohn's disease comes from. Are we done yet? Because you're rotting out. That's it. There are no diseases. There's just stinking, rotten people. You get anybody that has a disease, go smell their breath. It'll smell like something's dying. Yeah, go ahead. I never have bad breath. I never stink. Even when I'm sweating, I can be sweating, and there's no smell coming off of me. But guess what? The older you get, the more you stink. You go into a nursing home and it smells like pepperoni and soap. And that's the smell of the fungus oozing out of them. That's right. Because guess what? Older people are disrespected. You know, most nursing homes spend $3.80 on the meals for the person for the whole day. Yeah. Yeah, welcome to the world. Anyways, I'm off topic. So, anyways, so, you know, look at, he's small, but this thing, he better watch it. All right? There's an alien in here. Okay? So I told him I will go in and we'll do on this SI joint, we will Cellsonic it. That will help to break up the displaced calcium. That'll bring electrical energy into the scar tissue to make it more supple and alive and going, yes. Okay? And then I'll go in and do this and he'll feel the difference. Okay? Can you stand up for me? Okay, now take that knee and bring that knee up to your chest. No, but look at, can you see everyone? I want to show you something. Okay, I want you to take a look here. Here's his large intestine hanging out. Look at this. Yeah. Look at this. Look at it. That's his large intestine falling down and hanging here. Okay? All right? So, guess what? If this thing's in coma, remember something. Your large intestine is supposed to be your compost. Would you put dead animals in your compost? Would you put alcohol in your compost? Would you put bread in the compost? Maybe.
I did.
Okay, but you wouldn't put dairy in the compost, would you? You wouldn't put sugar in the compost, would you?
No.
You wouldn't put any chips in there, would you?
Yeah. Not in the compost.
You wouldn't put in your...
But
That is your compost. The large intestine is the compost of the human body. Depending on what you put in your mouth will depend what you're going to breed here, whether it's good bacteria or bad bacteria, or whether it's going to be parasites, or whether it's going to be fungus, okay, or whether it's going to, guess what, stagnate, and then guess what, rot out. Well, what do you think? Listen, in the last, are you ready for this? In the last 4 years, prostate cancer has gone up 60%. And guess what they said? By 2030, and they're right, all the guys are rotting out. I don't see a guy here that doesn't have a belly. Okay? All right? Everybody's rotting out. I mean, you can walk around and have a belly and it's just like, oh, I'm just one of the guys. You know? Jesus. Anyways, so the reality is prostate cancer is supposed to go up 400% by 2030. And guess what's the fastest? Does anybody know what the fastest cancer is today? Growing?
Breast.
Large intestine.
Really?
Yes. Yes, for men. And breast for women. And do you know why it's breast for women? Do you want to know why? Because it's advertised the most. whatever you think about, whatever you advertise the most. How about this? When President Nixon decided to declare a war on cancer, every year since then, and I hope you know that does anybody want to know who started the Cancer Society? No. Who started the American Cancer Society? Who started it? The Rockefellers. Because anything that you talk about and promote the most, even if you're saying, let's promote the prevention of cancer, you create it. When I say cancer, most people think it's a death sentence. But I don't believe in cancer. It's just an inflammation problem. If I told you that you had an inflammation that could ruin your life, and if you wanted, we'd have to get rid of the infectious mind and the infectious diet to bring down the inflammation, there's hope, isn't there? There's more than hope. There's a great strategy going on. But most people, you've been taught that cancer is a death sentence, okay? So guess what? If I say cancer, everybody freaks out, right? And then when you freak out, what do? You dump adrenaline and cortisol. And what does that do? It feeds the cancer. How are we doing? Everything's a setup. Okay, let's go. Want to lay down? So the reality is I told him I'd work on it, but it won't last. How would it last? Well, I can go in here and get rid of the scar tissue and the crystallization. But guess what? Does anybody see his little tummy? Okay, we can see it's hanging down and out. So that means he's down and out. Okay? So the reality is that the more putrefaction you got out front, the more you're going to have decay in your lower back. That's why lower back surgery is the most done surgery. And understand something. All these kidney problems that are coming up right now, well, the fear of loss is the emotion behind kidney problems. And what do people have today? The fear of losing their stuff. Okay, because our lives are being threatened more than ever before. So that's why the kidney problems come on an emotional level. But the reality is that people don't drink water. They don't drink water. Every man should be doing a gallon a day. Every woman should be doing 3 liters or 3 quarts a day. And if you're as big as a man, you should be doing 4 liters or 4 quarts or 5 a day. You need 5 liters of water a day, and it needs to be structured. You're never going to get well. You know, this is just if you were to drop 50 pounds and drink that water and only go on a whole plant-based diet and do like the ultimate coffee enemas, you would not have that cane in your hand. You would not have that cane in your hand in 3 months, and you'd have your life back. Are you able to give up your addictions? Because you are addicted to food. Are you able to? No, you're not. You know why? You won't be able to, and it's not because you're weak. You got to go home to a whole family that eat like you. So how many people live with you? Well, that's helpful. But the reality is this. If you're lonely and not in love with yourself, then you'll eat yourself to death. Tell me what happens when you get depressed. Tell me what happens when you're not emotionally aligned with yourself. What do? You make a salad? No, you don't. You eat crap. You eat the same level of food that you emotionally are at. Did you get that? So it would be pretty cool if you could maybe be the master of your emotions and smile anyway, love anyway. All right, I'm gonna pull your pants down to here. Just down about that far, okay? Da-da, da-da, da, da-da, da-da, da. Okay, all right, now I want to show you something. You want to feel something? I'm gonna show you why he's got a problem. Who wants to feel it? And then I want you to be honest, and after I get done, okay? So take a look here. Feel that. That's not supposed to be there. That's calcified. When I get done, that won't be there. Now feel on this side, smaller. So look at it. Am I right or wrong? Am I making it up? It's smaller. On this side, this side is actually 4 or 5 times bigger, and it's all calcified right here. It's this big, guys. Look at it. Come feel it. Feel that bump.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to be there.
No.
No, that's his SI joint, but now it's all calcified. Right?
Yeah.
And guess what? What do you do for a living? You're not sure?
Everything.
Everything, like what?
Work in the O&M department, like
The what?
O&M department.
I don't know what that is, please.
Well, it's
Operations and management of our, he's a maintenance
it
department
just
on our van.
maintenance, working on houses or whatever.
Okay, so what he does is for his size and for his strength, he pushes himself too hard. Okay, so he believes that suffering physically means he loves his family. And that's how he created this big calcium knot here. People that love themselves don't hurt themselves. They don't. But it's not that he's trying to hurt himself. It's not that he hates himself. But guess what? When I was younger, okay, and I had a young family, I was conditioned without knowing it. The more exhausted I was, the more in pain I was at the end of the day, the more I deserved the love from my family. Yeah, victimitis. And we don't even know we have it, okay? What's all this? Okay, you want to see something? Okay, I want you to do me a favor. I want people to see this on here, the video. So show one first. Go here. I'm going to show you something. Are you ready for this? Like I don't know what I'm talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, here.
Now let's go over here.
This here is leakage from his cecum.
Ooh.
His cecum sits in front.
Oh, Daryl, it's hard.
I said, come closer, please. There you can. You got, no, down lower. Look at this. Watch. Okay, right there.
Okay.
There you go. See right here, everyone? You see the discoloration right here? If I go straight through, that's where his cecum is. Did I tell you he had problems with his cecum? I never saw this before. Look at this. I can teach anybody this. Now, this is him pooping in his pelvis, and this is all the rot. And look at this. Look at the calcification. This is all calcified here. Okay, you want to show this other one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now watch this. Come slowly, yeah. Look at this. Do you see it? Understand something, everybody, just so you know, that looks like a bruise, right? Do you know what bruises are? Rotten tissue and infection. Right here. Look at that brown. And I told you had a cecum problem, didn't I? Yeah. Did we take a look at this earlier? No. Okay, thank you. Now, let me just say this. I clap. You need to learn how to clap your body. And the more bruised you are, the more you have tissue rotting. Did you get that? People, you bruise without touching anything. You bruise without touching anything because you're rotting out. You need to get that. Understand that. The majority of the population is rotting. If you smell, you're rotting. Did you get that? Ugh. You're rotting. But guess what? That would mean what? Almost everybody's rotting. Did you ever take a look at the rotten food people eat? Did you ever take a look at the rotten beliefs people have? Everything is vibration and everything is frequency. Okay, so I'm going to do right here, and this looks like eczema and psoriasis, right? So this is basically like a fungal problem, right? And the reality is he's full of fungus. He doesn't have tone in here. We know he doesn't eat well. Remember last night I said, how's your diet? He said, oh, my diet's good. And guess what? He was comparing his diet to everyone else that eats at his table. That's right. Okay, do you come from a loving family? Yeah, absolutely. Even if you're being sexually abused. I sure do. How many families can you tell? Until you have unconditional love for yourself, you don't even know what love is. And most of you will take contaminated, corrupted love because you can't live without it. And if you want your life to change, if you want to meet someone and have a partner that is going to be so amazing, then you have to have unconditional love and care for yourself. Because guess what? All the parasitical people will stay away from you because they're looking to feed off of someone that they can. Become high vibrational enough that you don't ever get yourself into these parasitic relationships anymore. The only way you can guarantee that is if you have unconditional care and love for yourself. Because guess what? They'll never come near you. The others will never come near you. Do you know a predator only goes after what? Prey. The emotional limper. The physical limper. Okay? All right? The medical system, they're not after me. They get nothing from me. Okay? Okay, who are these psychos after? They're after the people that don't have any love for themselves because they'll do drugs, they'll eat crap, they'll treat themselves like crap. They won't change their diet. They're not after me, they're after the low-hanging fruit. And what does that mean? What happens when fruit's overripe? It rots out. And guess what? You ever have fruit that was overripe in a bowl in the kitchen? Guess what? What did it do? Did the ripe fruit send out a trumpet? Fruit flies come from all over the world. No, the fruit flies were bred from the fruit. Your worms, your fungus, your bad bacteria, your symptoms, your diseases were born from you. It's called autoimmune disease, which means you're attacking yourself. That's what it means. Okay, are you getting it? Okay, let's do this. Can you do me a favor and put that on 10? And
Do you want your cameras to come straight across?
where? Well, they could. You could bring the cameras right here. Yeah, if you would.
Yeah.
I wish people on anybody want to feel this? You'll see how big this is. Okay, there's the calcification. It's that big, and it's like this. Now somebody else would say that's bone. It's displaced calcium. Now, does everybody know that the sciatic nerve runs out of the spine right here and comes around the SI joint? So now he's calcified and caused scar tissue here, so it's putting pressure on the SI joint, which sends pain all the way down to his foot. And so when I get done here, he's gonna go, oh my God, this feels amazing. Now, he probably has calcification too, all the way on the top of the hip bone, but I'm not gonna do that today. I'm only gonna show this and that's it. If he wants to come in, he can. And understand, if I work on him, this will last for months. This will last longer than any other therapy that we can do. But the reality is he gonna start behaving? I guarantee you he does not drink a lot of water. I guarantee you he drinks pop or he drinks something awful. That's obvious. Right?
No.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so let's move cameras.
Yeah, go ahead and put them right here.
Okay.
People don't like to share their addictions with you. Okay? All right? Until once somebody's in a life-threatening situation, okay, which he doesn't realize, but he is. But he doesn't believe he is. Do you know why? Because most people are in his condition. Okay? So we're just going to do in this area here, do the SI joint. First we're going to Celsonic it. Okay?
I've got it set to 100.
What?
How many pulses do you
Yeah, that'll do it.
Okay.
Thank you. You're amazing. You got this down pat. So we're going to do 150 pulses. Can you hand me the pulser?
Yeah.
And then can you hit the button? Okay, so this will be 25,000 volts into a field. And understand something, guys. This is the strongest energy medicine device in the world. Okay? People don't want to believe it, but we have a gentleman that had his spine cut and has had deep non-surgical work, and he's had Celsonic, and guess what? He's now got feeling in his legs and he's starting to walk again. It actually caused the nerves to come together in the spinal column to grow back together. People that have had bones that wouldn't heal together, this and Merigen, ionic calcium therapy, It's, yeah, it's beyond thunder. Why do you think when you go to get Merigen or Cardigan from me, or Dentagen for the mouth, or Cardigan for the joints, or Ozo Junior for children if they're not growing properly, you can't go on my Doc of Detox store and buy it. You have to call it in, because the FDA, they want to create every stumbling block for us they can. Because if you take a look in pub.gov.med, which has all the government studies in it, you can see for over 100 years they said if somebody could invent where you could actually get the calcium ion and put it into liquid and people could drink it, we could heal people from every illness. Well, that was 11 years ago that was invented. All right, so let me shake it first.
Of course, because they're looking at your best interest.
Okay, all right. Ready? Just see in a second here. It'll bring the calcium down. Where'd it go? Well, it wasn't anywhere. As soon as you change the frequency and the energy to something, right? It's the same thing as when I work on somebody that has like a fibroid or a tumor that on their body, and then we work on them and then it's gone. Where'd it go? Well, I already told you there wasn't anything that needed to go anywhere. It was a lack of light and frequency. That's all. Okay, who felt it? You want to come here? Can I have a thing? I wanted to feel this. I'll clean this off. And then, who felt it? You did? Come here and feel this. Look at this. Now it's got a dent. Feel it. Look how small it is.
Okay, it's very small. Yeah,
You see?
almost
25,000
gone.
volts put
Almost
into a field. See that? It's almost gone. So everything is energy. We are light energy electrical magnetic beings. Okay, now I'm going to do the non-surgical. Okay? Please lean over this way. Okay? No. That's good enough. It's good enough. And does anybody notice that the color came down right away? Yeah. You see? Okay. All right. Okay. Breathe. Moan and groan if you need to a little bit. Okay, now look at this. I want to show you something. Watch. See how big it is?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Now when I get done, it won't be there anymore. You won't even feel it. You're going to come here and not feel a thing. Now, look at this. I'm not even going hard. It's all falling apart. That's because the 25,000 volts in a field are now in this tissue. And it's actually went in here and it caused fracturing of the displaced calcium, but not a bone. Isn't that amazing? This can cause the tiniest little micro fractures in bone that releases ionic calcium particles. That's why I'll do Celsonic 3 times a week on myself. I'll do Merigen twice a day, and I'll always do that now. Right? But just remember something. When you guys are going off to the retirement home, and I'm making this fun, I'll be traveling the world and teaching still. Remember something, everything's an investment. You were given a Visa card called your body, and you didn't make any payments. You just took from it. So now it's being cut up. Oh, wait, by who? Hear it? Can you hear it? You hear it? Okay, it's all breaking up. Listen. Hear it? Now, here's the deal. He's used to suffering all his life. He believed that work was about suffering. Family was about suffering. How do you get rid of a program like that? You don't. So you will get people that'll come to you and they'll be patients or clients, right? And they won't change anything, will they, Sandra? No. But at least we know that we're doing real work for them and we're keeping them pain-free. Like pain-free. And we're keeping them disease-free. Because if you remove calcification blocks, if you remove scar tissue blocks, where's the tumor come in? And remember something, there isn't anybody that doesn't have stiffness, pain, swelling, or inflammation that doesn't have some kind of physical block. And if they don't have a physical block, how many illnesses and how much suffering are you helping them to not have? You can't make somebody love themselves. You better get that through your head. Now, right in between the SI joint and the spine is still calcified. Look at it. So what he would do, if he was going to help me, he would go home and he would have a clapper. Can you get me a clapper, please? And he would clap this area for me every day for 20 minutes, for half an hour. It's going to go black and blue because he's so infected here. But guess what? It will stop going black and blue when it becomes healthy tissue again. Remember something. Healthy people don't bruise. End of story. So this is a clapper. So he would actually go in there and clap this area for me every day for 15 minutes to 20 minutes. That will keep the calcification of the scar tissue from not coming back. He would also use DMSO. Can you hand that to me? He'll put DMSO on, okay, gel, okay, on there 3 to 5 times a day. Because DMSO gel will actually go in and it'll actually, it's a solvent and it'll actually help break up crystallization, keep the calcification, keep the circulation moving, help the scar tissue to stay connective tissue and not go back. Then we'll give him the pain away essential oil and he'll keep that in his pocket. And every time he thinks about it, he'll rub the essential oils on here. And he could do it 20 times a day. And guess what? We're going to create a new program in here. If he puts the DMSO on, if he puts the pain away on, essential oil, if he does the clapping, and if I could get him to do pelvic squats and crab stretch morning and night, guess what? This isn't coming back. Because we created a new program within the tissue. Okay? Are you with me? This is not what people do. Most practitioners don't do this. They don't hardly even ask anything of their patients. Listen, if you don't find patience for yourself, you will remain a patient. And you have no patience for yourself. And look how much patience you have for other people. And then you'll understand why you're a patient. I have all the patience in the world because I can't change anyone. I have all the patience in the world because I can't change anyone. How often do you get frustrated because your family and your friends won't change? Mind your own business. Go find some new friends. Go find some new family. That's what I would do. Okay, come over here. Okay, now, there's how big it is now. Feel it. Huh? What's the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do a little bit more. But look at now. Does anybody see? Look at the dent.
He's got his dimple back.
It's back.
Yeah.
Now, I could have adjusted like a chiro. What would that have done?
Nothing.
Thank you very much. I could massage it. No, I'm not trying to offend anyone because as soon as I finished school, I went and became a massage therapist. That only lasted for 3 months after I got out and I went, this is BS. And then I made my own technique called Wolf Non-Surgical. That's right. When I was 25 years old, I came up with this technique. It's a little while ago. Here, I'll get the rest of this and then we're done. Now, just so you know, when he goes to lift up his leg, oh, look at this. See, I told you he would have some on the hip. Here it is right here. Okay? So I showed you something. Now, if I don't have somebody selfish enough to want to change their life, and guess what? People call it selfish, but it's not. It's loving themselves enough. Is it going to last? So he needs to come back, all right? He needs to come back in 7 to 10 days. And he's going to need to come back at least 3 times. Because, and I'm not trying to pick on him, but he's not going to do all I asked him to do. And that's nothing against him. You know, some people will come to us and they'll say, listen, I'll be honest with you, I'm not changing my diet for nothing. Okay, then if you're not changing your diet, I need you to take this, this, and this, and do this, and then come in this so often, so that, because you're just going to build it back up again. Well, I know, but I'm not giving up my alcohol. I'm not giving up my my lifestyle. I'm just not doing it. Well, you don't have to, right? But at least we know we're going in and we're doing really good work. They're out of pain, all right? Our job is not to try to tell people what to do. Our job is to work around what they're willing to do. Do you understand? There. Now come and feel it. All you got is this little SI joint. It's only this big now. There it is. Okay? All right. So that's that. Now, if you want, you can pull your pants up. Stop showing off, okay? And then what we'll do, Sandra?
Yep.
Okay? So now what I'd like you to do is take a little walk. Now remember, I didn't touch his leg. And then I want you to pick your knee up and do something that used to cause you pain.
Can you grab this one?
There, what do you think of that?
Feels good.
Huh? How's the leg feel?
Good. The burning is not as much.
It's come down how much? 80%?
About half.
Yeah. Okay, so understand something. We could do more, but all I did was that one spot.
Yeah.
If I did the crest of his hip, okay, and if I went into the fossa of his hip and I cleaned it out, he'd have none. Do you understand? But that's not what this is about. I'm trying to show you guys that, you know, we could take it all away for you, right? With my talking, did I work more than 10 minutes? No. So when he would come in, he would get Celsonic, and then they would work an hour on his low back. They would do his sacrum, his coccyx, L3, L4, L5, and the two SI joints just above the crest and into the side of the hip. And guess what? Zero burning. There would be nothing left. So he said 50%'s gone. And I guarantee you, if he were to go for a walk right now, it would be 80 or 90%. So what do you think? Huh?
I'm happy.
Good. You're happy. I'm glad you're happy. Okay, any questions?
Just when I come back. When do I come back?
Well, I just told you should be back here no later than a week.
Yeah.
See, you got to understand something. If I tell you one time to stop doing that, are you going to stop doing something? No. Repetition. Depending on how ingrained the belief is in here. So guess what? Have you ever done this? I swear to God, I will leave you if you do that one more time. Well, now he's going to lie to you. That he's not doing it anymore. Nobody can change that fast. We are so cruel to each other. Nobody can change that fast. Look at everything that you do comes from your subconscious, and your subconscious only holds on to prominent, dominant thoughts. So if you want your children to change right away, just remember, your children are like you. And you're going to get pissed off at them and tell them to change right away. Why don't you change? You can't change right away. So you got to learn patience and love, unconditional love for yourself and others, because they don't change right away. All you do is you just say, hey, every time that I go to hug you, just know that you did it again. Not every time I slap you. And that's how you're all taught to treat each other. And understand, nobody can change just like this. But you need to change. All right? You need to feel some emotion. You may not know this, but anybody that lives with him, and I've never met him before, but he has numbed out his emotion not to feel anymore. He does not get overly excited. He doesn't get overexcited. He's always like this. Okay? And he has numbed his feelings out because when he was younger, he had abusive parents. And guess what? He had to numb out his emotions because he couldn't take it anymore. So now he's taken that protection and he's still doing it throughout his life. And I'm right. And you know I am. So, and I don't mean that as a smart ass, but I've been able to do this since I was 6 years old. And understand something, I'm going to tell you right now, would you like to know what's going on in your family's life? Have unconditional love for them. Don't go in and try to figure them out so you can corner them and punish them and judge them. Go in and figure them out because you want to do that, because you want to work with them. You want to work with them so you can help to set them free from the beliefs that have imprisoned them in this invisible prison called their subconscious. Don't tell me we don't attack each other. We do. No attack. Ever again. We got to stop it. They tell us, you know what? They tell us that all our ancestors were animals. And today we're as smart as we've ever been. No, we're dumbed down more than we've ever been. And our ancestors weren't animals. They make us into animals thinking that we have to go to war with this religion, this color, that color, this country, that country. Seriously, we don't need armies. We don't need wars. We definitely don't need to go to war with ourselves. And if you can stop going to war with yourself, you'll stop going with everyone else. Sandra, is that true?
Absolutely.
When you're not going to war with yourself, how's the world look?
It's peaceful.
Yes, that's right. And so when you go to war with yourself, the world will never be peaceful. And you will always look for things to feed that you live in a war zone. When you find peace, you will look at the butterfly and you'll stay there. When you find peace, okay, you'll be seeing life in a whole different light. Okay, get somebody who's at war with themselves and somebody who's found peace, but not just peace, but love for themselves. They'll take the same walk down the street and we'll ask what each person saw. That person saw a dog turd on the ground, okay, and the other one saw a butterfly in the sky. All right? All right? Thanks for joining us. Have the best weekend of your life, everyone.